Hello and welcome to another edition of the American Scouser podcast. With me tonight, I've got Tim and I've also got Debrai. How are we, guys?
Excellent.
Awesome stuff, awesome. So we'll have a little recap of the old Bayern Munich game, then look ahead to that little small game that we got on the weekend. Bayern Munich. Tim, I'll come to you first. The most entertaining 0-0 that you've ever seen?
It was. I mean, I really thought. I mean, it was at both ends. Either team could have scored. I thought it was a fun game, and I don't know if it was just because obviously we have a huge interest in it and a rooting cause, but I thought it was like a really exciting game. It was well played by both teams in terms of energy. I mean, maybe finishing could have been better, and both teams were like half a pass away from creating a bigger chance and stuff, but. I mean, it was a lot of energy out there, a lot of running around. Pretty clean overall, I thought. But it was definitely a fun game to watch. I mean, I thought it was well played for both teams, really. I think they did a lot of things good. I thought we played well overall. I know the score is not ultimately the best score, but not a bad score either to take to the next game. So we'll see. I was pretty pleased overall. I mean, 1-0 would have been icing on the cake if we could get one of those towards the end of the game, or if Mane could have scored that one in the first half. But 0-0 is not a bad score. I mean, it's not a great score, but it's definitely not conceding. I thought was the key, and we kind of managed that, especially with that makeshift backline.
Yeah, I agree. I thought, 0-0 is better than 2-1 Liverpool. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
better. It's a better result, 0-0. So then we just got to take things into perspective. They're not doing well in the league. I think we understand that. They're not having their usual dominant season like they usually do. But I think that can make them more of a wounded animal in effect of that they've only got this to play for. In their heads, they might think, well, fuck, we've won the title. I think it's the last 7 years. They've won the last 7 league titles. They might just think, well, we've only got this to play for. We're so far behind in the league, which can make them dangerous. A bit like Liverpool last season, which made us dangerous in this one competition. So, Debray, I'll come to you. Was Alisson and Neuer trying to have a bet who can be the worst goalkeeper on the night? My God, some of the passing out of them. I've two world-class goalkeepers, of course. I'm saying that in jest, but they weren't looking their usual confident self there.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question. And I thought in the first 20 minutes, Allison was trying to make sure he made the headlines because for the majority of the game, I think it was Liverpool on top and the ball was on the other side of the pitch. I think at the end of the day, I think like all players, everybody has a little bit of room to improve. And I think Allison, there are some moments where you think to yourself, he doesn't always make the best decision. And I think his quality gets him out of trouble. I think the quality of his back line gets him out of trouble. So he doesn't get exposed the same way that Mignolet does. And I'm not comparing him to Mignolet because I think that's totally unfair and not balanced. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And on the other side of the pitch was the same thing where I thought Manuel Neuer was trying to, help us create chances because although we dominated the game, to be fair, I think we had a hard time creating a number of near clear-cut chances. So yeah, I think the goalkeepers were a talking point in the game in a way that was not anticipated before the game.
Yeah, I thought they were. I don't know, the first half just for some of the pass. Maybe it's nerves, and then entitled to that. I think the 0-0. I think it's a good result.
Agreed.
I also think as well, if we have a look at the bigger picture, as much as Bayern Munich are struggling in their league, there's probably 3 or 4 players, maybe 5, we might get in the Liverpool team. Matt Hummels would probably start if he was at Liverpool. Thiago was really good on the night. I thought he faded in and out sometimes. I thought he looked well midfield. I understand Henderson had a brilliant game, which we're going to come on to. But they got players there that are very dangerous and they're good players. So.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. At the outset of your presentation, you sort of spoke of Bayern as a almost like a funeral for Bayern Munich. But the truth is I think they're just a few points out of first place in the Bundesliga. They've been going fairly great guns in the last month and a half without producing vintage Bayern performances.
Yeah.
This is a team with great European pedigree, a tremendous amount of pride, and a lot of quality players, even if they're on the wrong side of their careers. So I was impressed with how professional they were. They played their part in this match, and they didn't concede chances in the way that you would think our dominance in the match would have lend itself to. So I think they played their part, and I think that they were worthy of their point. Um, Again, I like our chances going back into the second half. I'm sorry, into the second leg, and I think at some point we'll talk about why Shaq did not come in and Milner did come on. We'll talk about that and whether those were the right choices. But at the end of the day, let's give Bayern some credit as well.
Yeah, it's him. This is a Bayern side who's made the semi-finals 5 out of the last 6 seasons in the European Cup. This is a good side. I agree with Debrai there. He's saying, these guys are on the long end of 30, but then these guys might look and go, well, this is the last chance that we're going to get to win the Champions League.
Yeah, I mean they're like a great side, and it's not like they're still like within crying distance in the Bundesliga too, where they're on a roll, and it's almost like they kind of like have been winning it too easily, and finally it's a contest. But that's the thing, I looked online, and like a lot of people were like, oh, every time we go to these warm weather camps, the team does not play well and stuff like that. I'm like, I mean, this is not Cardiff or Leicester. This is Bayern Munich. I mean, these like probably like one of the top. I mean, if you look at like who is left in the tournament, they're probably in the top half of who will be favored to win out of the last 16. So it's a very quality team, and I think they will get some other players back as well. But us having Van Dijk back in the second game is a huge plus. Them not having Kimmich and still Mueller will be out. Those are two handicaps for them on that wing, which was probably good because I thought Robertson. This is the first time I've probably seen Robertson struggle and backpedal a lot. And it almost like I don't know if it was. I think that will be a lot better the next game. I think that he'll be better. That wing will be better prepared for it. But he got beat early in the game, and he was just like afraid of the same thing happening again, and he was constantly backpedaling. Otherwise, I mean, even then, I thought he did really well pushing up. And let's face it, Kimmich was afraid of Mane's pace. So he wasn't pushing up a lot, which kind of lets Robertson take that wing and be able to push up a lot more. I thought Trent had a really good game. And that makeshift defensive line, I know there's, some scary moments, but I thought they performed well overall. And that midfield, especially Henderson, and I could be more pleased for him because of all the, the handle haters out there. But man, what a game that guy had. I mean, he was all over the place, his quick touches. I know, everybody complains about him passing sideways and stuff. But if you look at that midfield, he's the only guy who passes sideways fast and switching the ball really fast. So there is something to switch the wing, but if everybody is watching you do it in slow motion, it's a lot easier for the entire defense to shift. Whereas Henderson was doing a lot of one-touch passes that was suddenly shifting the wing, and that's the whole point of going from one side to the other is that sudden shift. If you're doing it in 4 passes, it kind of defeats the purpose. A lot easier for the defense to laterally move and cover all the areas. So, I mean, he had an awesome game. I thought, like I say, overall a well-played game against a really good team. That Bayern team from top to bottom is full of quality. And yeah, they were missing a couple of players, but I mean, still, you look up and down, and I agree, there's probably at least 4 or 5 guys that would easily make it into our lineup.
I think, you know what? I think I agree with everything you said. The Robertson one, I thought he struggled, but I think we're doing Serge Gnabry like a really disheartening thing because I thought he played really well in the night, and he kind of switched roles. He switched sides a couple of times, which really confused both Trent and Robertson. And he basically just stuck to the line and went, well, I've been told to keep you down here, keep you entertained, because we know your threat, of course, coming up the wing. I thought he played really well in the night, actually. He really impressed me. When I seen him at Arsenal, I was like, well, he's got the talent, but I don't think he's got the end product, but he's really improved in the last 3 or 4 years. Speaking of Henderson, I thought it was his best game for a long time. I like Henderson. I'm not really a Henderson hater. I just think we get more out of Fabinho in the midfield. But that game shows you again that he's got a big 3-4 months for Liverpool coming up. Debrai, I'll come to you. How impressed were you with Jordan Henderson there?
Well, I'm actually not a Henderson hater, which probably makes the three of us unique in the Liverpool support. He does what he does, and he does it well. And if you judge him by what he's good at, you are normally impressed. I don't look for Henderson to, create gilt-edged chances. I don't look for him to score goals consistently. But what I look for him is to work hard, be tactically disciplined, and keep things ticking along. And I think he does that well. And he does that well even in the most difficult matches, like on Tuesday night. And I think that's more valuable than I think a lot of people really expect. And I think he showed his value, and he's done it before. And I think coming to this weekend's small match, I think he'll show it again. So I don't want to say I'm a fan of Henderson, but I respect what he does, and I think he has a skill set that's useful for the side. And many teams have a player like him, and they're frequently not celebrated, but they're frequently crucial to year-end results.
Yeah, and Tim, he's really impressive. Another player who really impressed me on the night was Fabinho. I think he's probably playing himself into contention of being probably alongside Van Dijk and Gomez as our third best centre back. Because every time he plays there, he's excellent, and I thought he was excellent again the other night. I think Jurgen's got a big decision this weekend whether he partners Van Dijk with Fabinho and leave Henderson in, or he trusts Joel Matip. What are your thoughts on Fabinho?
Yeah, that's funny because I was thinking the same thing. It just kind of like puts a curveball in there, doesn't it? Like the way he performed there.
Good.
But
that's
at
good for
the
Klopp.
end of the day, I think you still play, the guy whose natural position is there, so you play Matip over him, which kind of, now creates a dilemma in midfield. After a game like that, I don't think you can bench Henderson. So I almost feel like we will see maybe both of them with Genie.
I think so. Yeah.
And like kind of like control that midfield against like Pogba and stuff, and go from there. Because I feel like, after a game like that, it's going to be pretty tricky to bench Henderson. And I don't think it's kind of like a Keita kind of game. So I think I would rather see Henderson and Fabinho in the midfield along with Genie, and then like have the front three do their thing. So that's midfield of United is kind of like a kind of hard-working physical part of that team.
Yeah.
As much speed maybe, but very physical. So I think that midfield would kind of match that. I know what you're saying though. I thought Fabinho did really well, and it makes you kind of like raise an eyebrow and be like, could it be? Like, can we put him there? But like I say, at the end of the day, I think I still would rather go with playing people in their national position as much as possible, so that it doesn't get. I thought that's one thing that Bayern did not do very well, is take advantage of that situation, to be honest with you. I'm a Bayern fan. I'm thinking we're going to get an away goal from that defense, one way or the other kind of thing. I thought they couldn't take advantage of it well enough. They were almost like they were happy with the 0-0 tie as well. I thought with the defensive line we had, they would try to go and get one goal and, give some help to Lewandowski. It was kind of like Lewandowski trying to battle both those guys up front, and both Matip and Fabinho did a good job of stopping him. Really, they probably should have done a better job of taking advantage of a duo. They're both good players, but that's not their. They never played with each other before. Number one, and as a center back, that's really key. The guy you're playing with is key. That communication, that silent communication, is key, which they probably don't have because they never played together. So I thought we were kind of lucky to get away with that. Like a clean sheet, because that could have been exploited. So to answer your question, though, I think you play Matip back there and put Fabinho in midfield with Henderson to make kind of like a solid center of the field.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Debrai, would you like to see Joel Matip versus Romelu Lukaku?
No.
And that's the end of that one, guys. Have a good game. See you later.
Yeah. I think there's always a risk of saying, "Gee, these guys played well this game, so let's keep playing them the next game." Man United at home aren't going to be like Bayern at Anfield. I think Man United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer are going to be much more aggressive, and as Tim alluded to, I think they're going to be much more challenging of the central half pairing that we have. And I think, given that situation, um, I would prefer to see um, absolutely Virgil van Dijk, but I'd rather see somebody more combative like Fabinho
Yeah.
partnering him. And I think that would give me more confidence. I think Matip is sort of he's sort of a languid player. And I think what we need is somebody who is more of an in-your-face player. And
Yeah.
I think that's going to be better for us against a team like Manchester United. I will also say, and maybe this will be somewhat unexpected or maybe not conventional, I would drop Keita and I would put in Milner, because I think, having seen Man United play a number of times since mid-December, since the so-called special one departed, is they're as good moving forward as Paul Pogba, and I'd rather see a more physical, aggressive presence on the defensive side in the midfield to stop him from making those 40, 50-yard runs that he's done against inferior opposition to, let's face it, pretty effective outcomes. And so that's what I'd rather see on Sunday morning. I know Keita has played well, but let's be honest. I mean, Bayern Munich wasn't there to take the game to us on Tuesday night. What are the chances that Man United are going to sit back and wait for us to make a mistake? I don't think it's the same game, and I think it requires a completely different tactical approach.
Yeah. I think we'll have the last little touch on Bayern, and then we'll go on to United, because as you can see, all three of us cannot stop talking about this game. So, but I think the Bayern Munich game plan was, and I think they've said in their heads, no matter what, we need to score 2 at our ground. I think they've looked and went, if we lose 2-1, we've got to score 2 anyway. If we lose, because Liverpool will score, that's in their heads. You've always got to back every game you play Liverpool. You've got to back that they'll score. It's very rare we have someone stopped us. Of course they did, but it's very rare that anyone stops Liverpool from scoring. So in your head, I think they go 0-0, 2-1 defeat. Worst case scenario was a 3-1 defeat. We still got to score 2. You know what I mean? And then we can still go through. I think that was their game plan. And I'm not saying, if we can't get the away goal, let's just not get battered. I think they looked at our time and went, we'll take this. We haven't been blew away like City got blew away or Roma got blew away last season and Porto. They went, fuck it, we'll take the 0-0. They didn't have a shot on target second half, which kind of tells you. Of course, they were still attacking. They were still getting into dangerous positions. They were still causing us trouble. They still looked like they wanted to score. But the fact is they never had a shot on target, which tells you that 0-0, I think they went, we'll shut up shop here. We still got to score 2 at our ground because they will score. That's my opinion on it. I thought Liverpool played well, but I think we're going to move on to that little game on the weekend, guys. It's always the biggest game of the season. Sorry, Everton, but it's always the biggest game of the season. Tim, I'll come to you. Is it probably now the biggest game in the league that we've had, probably in the last 5 years, 6 years?
Oh man, I don't know. Yeah, probably. In terms of having, I mean, we've had some games where it was crucial to go to the Champions League or make it to the top 4 kind of thing.
In the league.
Yeah, to be able to win the title, yeah, hell yeah. I mean, this is huge. I mean, this is kind of like the game in hand, if you will. So converting that to 3 points while kind of like knocking that fixture out of your remaining games list. Trip to Old Trafford, regardless of how, and obviously they're playing better, but regardless of where they are and their title run or whatever, it's a tough place to go to. It's it's one of those games, similar to the Everton game, I guess, where the atmosphere is totally different, the setting is totally different, so it doesn't really matter who has the better players sometimes or who's in a better form sometimes. It's almost like it always starts from zero, and you never know what's going to happen. It's one of those type of games. So, I mean, when you look on paper, I just, I'm hopeful in the sense that, we're going to be able to field whatever lineup we want, in terms of, whatever Klopp has in mind, injury wise and stuff like that. We're going to be out, we're going to have the 11 out there that we want. And they have some missing players. Like, my only fear is the fact that they have a lot of quality players that can make something happen out of nothing. So we got to be able to get a goal in. The first game that we played in Anfield, that game should have been over at halftime, and we just could not get there. And let's face it, we honestly, apart from like deflections, it was kind of hard to beat they had. So that's the thing. We just got to be more clinical. I can see that crowd turn on that team fast if we can score early against them and kind of like, get them like rattled, because they're going to have to come after us. Like Debrai was talking about, like, what Mourinho did. Well, now the expectation is, well, it's not Mourinho now. This is how we play. This is the game that freaking got Mourinho fired at the end because of, kind of how we approached the game and how really miserable they looked. So you got to figure they're going to try to do the opposite. They're not going to, want to sit and wait. So they have that pressure to come at us, which kind of like works into our hands, I think. I'm pretty hopeful in this game. And yeah, this is the biggest game for me, honestly. This is the biggest picture because of the family feud we always have at home with my brothers. So this is the biggest game for me regardless. But now, in terms of what it means to get to that title, the 3 points we can get out of this game would be huge.
Debrai, I'll come to you. Would you still be in contact with your brother if he was a United fan, Debrai?
I'm sorry, say what? I missed that, mate.
I love you, brother. You'll get a card in the post at Christmas, but that's about it. Stay away from me. No danger. But no, on a serious note, it looks like they have got Rashford, I believe. No, not Rashford. Martial and Lingard struggling with injuries.
Yes.
I think this is a good time for Liverpool to play them. The reason I say that is that the last home game they played was the PSG game. Who's, to be honest, the first elite club that they played under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and they were convincingly beaten. I'm not saying that as a bias thing. I'm saying that because I watched the football match and they were convincingly beaten. I think this could play into Liverpool's hands because, as Tim just alluded to, they have to come out and attack. They will want to come out and attack and go, right, this season's a one-off. We're back in this next season, and they want to put a job on Liverpool. I just want to kind of get your thoughts really on how we kind of, do you think we can get the 3 points? It is the biggest game in the last 5-6 years in the league. Certainly. Do you think we can get the 3 points and go and not cause an upset as such, but, give them a shot?
Do I think we get the 3 points? Yes. Okay.
I like that.
And I think if you look at their most impressive results, not necessarily performances, results, they've been away from home where they've had to not play to the Old Trafford expectations of attacking football, which is their wins against Arsenal and Chelsea in the FA Cup, against Tottenham in the league. They've been away from home.
Yeah.
When they've been at home, and they've had to play more of their what they consider to be their style of football. When they've won, they haven't necessarily won against the best teams, and when they played, as you've alluded to, a really good team, they were exposed. I think we can expose Man United on Sunday as long as we do our part in the match. And I think, if we can nullify the likes of Pogba, and if we can keep them at bay, the first 20, 30 minutes, and they keep pushing forward, I like our changes in the match. So, yes, I think we can cause an upset. And I think in some strange sort of way, I almost feel like they're a little bit more vulnerable at home than they are away.
Yeah, I agree. This is a team that would 2-0 down to Burnley until the 89th minute. I'm not saying Liverpool, can go there and score. I know we can score 3, 4, 5 because that's how good the team is. It's like when
doesn't
Liverpool
matter
play City.
Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, it's what I mean. It's like Liverpool when Liverpool plays City. It can be 5-0 City or 5-0 Liverpool, and no one will be surprised. It's just because the teams are that good. Now, to me, I call this game the Pogba or bust game. So if he doesn't have a good game, they don't play well. He is that influential at the moment. For the last 2 months, he's probably been the best centre midfielder in the league. Maybe one in the world. He's playing that well at the moment. Tim, I come to you. I think if we get around him with the performance like Henderson just put in against a really good midfield like James Rodriguez and Thiago, I think we can really get at Manchester United if we can get this man off the ball, because let's be honest, he is quality.
Yeah, I mean, he is very annoying to watch.
Frustratingly good. He's frustratingly good.
He's frustratingly good, and at the same time, I think he's frustratingly doesn't, play to his strength, to his capacity sometimes. Yeah. And like I say, we talk about this with the disgrace of the family, my brother, and and I always mention that. I mean, to me, he's very annoying to watch, just because, first of all, I mean, he's a great player. You can tell he's great, but he almost plays like he's just too good, or even better than he is. And the way for a dude his size, I mean, the way he pouts and he throws like temper tantrums when he doesn't get a call and stuff like that, it's just like a kind of hard guy to root for. I mean, it doesn't help the fact that he's playing in Manchester United, but even when he was playing for Juventus, a team that I do like in Italy, it's the kind of hard guy to root for, just because of his attitude towards the sport, towards the game at all. I mean, I think we talked about this a couple of podcasts about when we were talking about Alexis Sanchez. I just get the same vibe that they kind of see themselves above everything else, and it's more me than anything else. And I realize all these top guys, they have the money, they have the egos, but some you can tell that have the still passion for the sport overall, as opposed to some that are kind of like almost like showmen out there. That's the impression I get out of Pogba. He's always trying to put on a show, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, kind of thing. So, but to answer your question, yeah, and that's why I'm thinking, I would rather see Henderson, Fabinho, Gini as a midfield to get him out of the game, because once he's out of the game, first of all, if you can initially get him out of the game, he's a very easy guy to get in the head of. And that's probably his biggest weakness.
That's what I think.
In his head, he just gets worse and worse and worse as the game goes on. He starts making rash challenges. He starts kind of like, he kind of like turns on himself, if you will. So I think a strong midfield like that to kind of like rock him out of his game. And I do like, Debrai's idea of, like putting a Milner tackle on him to kind of like knock him out for good. But I think like a strong midfield that can get him out of the game will play in our hands. I mean, their center backs are shaky at best. So regardless of who plays, I don't know if Smalling can make his way into the lineup or not. But even if it's Bayo or whatever, I mean, our guys up front have kind of had their way with creating positions, or scoring situations. It's just like we have not capitalized enough. I just hope we're a lot more clinical, capitalize on a couple of those, get these guys out of their game. I think it's going to happen. I mean, like I say, nothing is guaranteed, of course, but yeah, you just get Pogba out of there, and somehow, I'm assuming if Lukaku is going to be up front, if Martial and Lingard are not there, kind of keep him under check. Don't let him bring those balls down, which is the only thing he can really do at this point. We have a really good chance of winning. I mean, like I say in the beginning, like on paper, we have a lot more quality squad. I mean, we're talking about how many players from Bayern would make it into our lineup. I don't know how many. It's nearly not as many that would make it into our lineup from the United squad.
Yeah.
So who did you put there? I mean, De Gea, right?
Pogba, Lindelof. That's it. I think.
Do you put Lindelof if Gomez is there?
I think so. I think I would. Based on the season, I know Joe's been really good, but Lindelof has been excellent. He really has. And I watch a lot of United. It's 50-50. It's a toss-up, really. But
that's a close one.
Yeah.
That's very close.
You also have to say that there are a couple of players who would also be pushing for position, even if they don't make it, too. Like players like Rashford. It's interesting. Our conversation just demonstrates how divisive Pogba is, because I actually don't see him as being sort of this prototypical lazy player that he is, I think, believed to be. I think it's just the way he plays the game. I'll sometimes watch him, like where he's from 50 yards to 40 yards approaching the opposition half, where he seems like he's just jogging, like it's a nice,
Yeah.
easy Sunday morning jog. And then you get to the business third of the field, and he's making a really intelligent run. I think he's a deceptive player, and I think that he's more dangerous and I think more complex than is commonly perceived to be. And I fear him. I think, as you said in your outset, I think he's been one of the best players in the Premier League, certainly in the midfield position in the last 3-4 months. And I think he's the danger man for them. I mean, he scored more than 50% of his goals in the last 2 months, if not more. And most good things that happen for United happen through Paul Pogba. We nullify him. I think we have a good result on Sunday, and I would envision even a point being an acceptable result, trending positive, and of course 3 points, all the better.
Dreamland, yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree. Actually, I think the balance on Pogba is where I can see both sides, and I'm kind of in the middle as well. It looks like he plays at 60%. It looks like he could do so much more because we know he's got the talent. You know, you look at him and you can do everything, and he can. And he's deceivingly quick with the ball. He's so strong when he's running with the ball. He protects it so well, and it looks like you can go. You're dominating this football match at 60%, 70%. Well, the best players in the world don't play at 70%. You know what I mean? They play at 100% week in, week out. They want to set these records. They want to be the best players in the world. And that's why one of my biggest pet hates in the whole of football is that Eden Hazard gets told he's the best player in the world, or one of them. And he's probably one of the most overrated players in the world. Because the best players in the world do it week in, week out. They don't care who the manager is. That's the first problem that's the other problem I've got with Pogba.
Fair enough there, right?
You know what I mean? They don't care who it is, whether you like the dude or not. Right? Cristiano Ronaldo, don't forget, he's been at Real Madrid now for about 10 years. How many managers do you think he's played under? 6, 7 managers. He doesn't care because he performs week in and week out. You look at Messi, they swap their managers every 2-3 years. He's probably played under 7 managers, 6 managers probably. I think he got his debut under Frank Rijkaard back in 2006. So, that's my frustration with Pogba. I think if you were a United fan, you could look, he's brilliant today. You could go, what score did you win? 3-0, but you could have won 6-0. You know what I mean? It's that, and that's what I think where the balance is with in this argument with this man. I think I agree with Tim. Sometimes I think he does look a bit like lazy because it's so easy for him. He makes it look easy. You know what I mean? Sometimes and I agree with you as well. He's deceiving. It looks like he's off the boil, and bang, he picks up the ball and he sprints 20 yards. He's so quick with the ball for a guy his size. I think it's his danger. I think it's our danger. But I'm going to come on to a little key battles. I think the key for this match, and you can probably say, well, any match is winning your battles, but I think in this match where the teams can be probably, Liverpool might be just tipping them in quality, or, very, very close together in the terms of how we're playing at the moment and, the football we're playing. I look at this battle on the field, Tim, of Sadio Mane versus Ashley Young. And come on, Sadio. After the miss against Bayern Munich, fella, you're always a performance, surely.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I feel like we have an edge when you look at their defense. I mean, you look at Mane's side, you look at Salah's side. I mean, I feel like we have the edge and we can easily create positions and, get into situations where we can score. We just got to finish. We just got to kind of get him out of the game because it's that kind of team that, I would not feel comfortable even if we're up, 1-0 or 2-0 in some ways because especially at Old Trafford, I mean, they have had some comebacks and stuff like that. And that's one thing I think you can say for United is they are fighting a lot more now, whereas they did not really seem to do that much when Jose was there, except I don't think of one game where they came back, whereas every other game it looked like they just threw in the towel after falling behind. So, yeah, I mean, if you look at those individual matchups, especially like, our forwards going against them, I feel like, their center back duo can be easily confused. and they have been in the past. We've kind of demonstrated multiple times ourselves. Like I say, Salah and Mane going against their guys, they have speed advantage. They're more agile. I mean, Shaw against Salah. So it's just a matter of getting them the ball by controlling the midfield, I think, is the key.
Yeah, Debrai, come to yourself, mate. Sadio Mane, Ashley Young, Firmino versus Smalling. I can see that's where Liverpool are going to get most success, really.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've talked a lot about our potential vulnerabilities and United's strengths. I don't think they can really cope with our strengths if we're, on our game. And when I think about the likes of Sadio against some of their central defenders or some of their wing defenders like Ashley Young, as Tim said, if we can be sharper in the final third, if we can be more clinical with our chances, I think we'll give them a lot of, we'll definitely cause them a lot of problems. And I think that's been some of our problems this year, which seems a little bit churlish to say, given that we're level on points with Man City with a game in hand. I just feel that if we can be just that little bit more clinical in the key moments of key matches, everything is there for us. And I think everything will be there for us on Sunday morning, our time, of course. And I feel, to be honest with you, I feel really confident about this game. I think we're playing. I feel like we're playing United at the right time. I think there's a little bit of a advantage for us playing them at home, which seems weird, but I feel like they'll have more pressure than we do.
I agree.
And I think that they're there for the taking. As Tim said, we can just be that little bit sharper in the key moments of the match.
Yeah, I agree. I think, I it's a weird this because I'd start Keita, which, by the vibes you got coming off you guys, that, the price you go with Milner, and Tim, you said you put Fabinho back centre midfield with Henderson. I'd start Keita because I think he's due a big performance away from home. He played well at 45 against West Ham. He's been doing good, not great. He was good. Actually, I'm lying. He was great against Bournemouth at home. He was good against Bayern Munich. He was average to good. I think he's due a big performance in a big game, and I think it's harsh now to drop him. I said on the previous podcasts that you got to give him a run at 8 to 10 games to see if he can find, how good is this kid, and he really is. He's starting to show things. I think it's dangerous to drop him. Tim, I come to you. I know you want to see the old Henderson, Fabinho, Wijnaldum. For me, I think if you were Naby Keita and you found it out, you could, ask Klopp, what have I done wrong here?
I just feel like after the last game, you are not dropping Henderson from that spot. If anything, I can
agree.
And I would not mind seeing Keita out there in terms of the attacking sense. But going back to what we were talking earlier, and like what Debrai was mentioning too, is when you have like guys like Pogba and stuff in midfield, I don't know if Keita can physically kind of like handle their midfield as well. But I agree. I mean, he's been playing better and better, and it almost feels like it's almost there. But I still don't think he has the full discipline when it comes to doing your defensive work, doing your tracking down when the ball is lost kind of thing compared to, say, somebody like, Genie, for example. So you're not going to bench Genie because we've I realize his value now, I think, after missing him a couple of games. I feel like you're not going to bench Hendo. And I know what you're saying, but I'm willing to kind of give away a little bit of that offensive power in return, getting Fabinho in there to really control that midfield. Because once we control the midfield, I have confidence that the front three can kind of confuse the heck out of that defense and get into scoring positions. And then that kind of gives you the ability to, if you are not able to bring Keita or Shaqiri off the bench to create some stuff. Either taking Fabinho or Hendo, whoever is not performing as well at the time, to the side. That kind of like leaves the door open for that. But I think, like I say, I feel like control in the midfield is more important than kind of like having maximum offensive power out there.
Debrai, I'll come to you. For me, I'd rather have Keita right on Matic and say, go and get around him. Let's see how quick he is. Let's see his engine. What are you thinking?
Well, first of all, let me just say that it's a great question, and the fact that we're having a debate is great for Liverpool Football Club, because 2 months ago or a month ago, we would not be having this debate, because Keita had seemed like somebody who just wasn't ready to perform at the level we needed, given what we're going after this year. This is a bona fide debate. This is not an easy question. Keita has performed much better the last few games than he had previously, and he's trending upwards. So just generally speaking, I think that tells us that we're now starting to develop a squad, which is what all championship winning teams need to have. And not just him. On the podcast before the Bayern game, we talked about, Fabinho and Matip in a crunch Champions League tie. They performed very well, didn't they?
Yeah.
And so now we have a squad and we have these debates, and I think just bigger picture, this is a very healthy sign for Liverpool Football Club. With respect to Sunday, I think I'd have to agree with Tim, not because Keita hasn't merited a start, but because the nature of the game, I think, demands more physicality, and it demands more, and it requires more aggression and more instinct for defensive play at Premier League level. And I think it's more on the defensive side that I still find Keita still missing a little bit. He still gives away the ball a little cheaply in bad areas. And when he does, sometimes he's rash in the tackle. And that's the area where I fear a little bit in a game against Man United, especially in the first half. So I would say, number one, it's a great debate, and I think there's a very good argument for his inclusion, and you've articulated it very well. But I think there may be some merit to saying, you know what, hold on a second. Maybe this is a guy who we now trust, and if we need that little bit of creativity in the second half, maybe we're chasing the game, maybe it's 0-0. This is a guy now we have confidence coming in. Maybe he's going to do the business for us. He's going to win us the game.
Mate, that's my dream. I just think he's due it, man. He's due something. He's just too good not to. But I want to ask you actually a quick question, yes or no. Just yes or no, Tim, right? Would you take a draw now?
Oh, man, you can't do the yes or no. No. I mean, okay, yes.
Brave man. You fucking brave man. I'm a shit house. I'm taking my draw and I'm running home.
I would not be like depressed if it was a draw, but I don't think I'd be happy with it.
I think a draw still, and I'll come to Debrai in a second to get his answer. I think a draw still hurts City, because I think they've looked at their calendar and went, they go to United then, because they would. We've all done it. Let's be honest, we're Liverpool fans. We're done it. We're not stupid. We go to United in 3 weeks. We go to United in 2 weeks. It's been counting down to this game, and I think City plays it exactly the same. They go to United, they'll drop there the way they're playing. And I think if you get a draw, especially if you score an equaliser in the last 10 minutes, I think it could really hurt. Debrai, come to you. Would you take a draw right now?
My brain says yes.
That's all that matters. Go with the brain, fella. The heart gets you in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because you're looking at the rest of the fixtures of the season for all the contenders, and this is a game where you take a draw in, and we're still ahead in the league past that fixture. So
we're playing them as well. This is another part, I think, of the conversation, which is interesting. We're playing them while they're still in the Champions League. Now, they'll still fancy to go there and score too. I think they will. They're not going to go there and go, they know they want a big European night. This is a team that, I think they won at Juventus. Was that this season? Yeah, they did. They won in Turin this season. And so they're going to go, we can overturn this tie. Then when City play them, I think City games being moved now, especially, or even the Spurs game, for example, they won't be in the Champions League then, I don't believe. So I think then that's another competition that they're out of, and they're only concentrating on the two, the FA Cup and the Premier League. I think a draw hurts them. Still, City. I still think they look and go, fucking hell, we've done all this work to get back to where we are, and we're a point behind again. And I know it's only a point, and you can sit there and say it's only a point. They go to Everton next week, and that's all fine and rosy. But the one thing that we proved, and the one thing that City have proved, is that we do not lose to the smaller sides. And City can lose to the smaller sides. You know, we can drop points, yeah. We can get a draw. Leicester and West Ham got a draw, fair enough. They've lost. They lost to Leicester. They lost to Crystal Palace. You know what I mean? This is the side that has lost.
And Newcastle, yeah.
And Newcastle. So these are, this is a team that's lost to smaller teams. And they've shown before that they can have enough performance. But when Liverpool have off performances, we get a draw. Do you get what I mean? We pick up the point. They're picking up 0 points when they have enough performance. And I think them little 1 points that we're picking up here and there could come costly at the end of the season for them. Great
points.
You know, it's something that our fans are not taking into consideration, because we put pressure on that Leicester game because we didn't expect Newcastle to beat them. I said on the podcast that I expect Newcastle to get something. Actually, I just thought that they would. I don't know why. I think it's just that I was expecting a rapper masterclass, and that's what I got. And I think we put all the pressure on that Leicester game because we've never been in that position before. Liverpool, I'm 27 next week. Liverpool have never done anything easy in my lifetime. Every trophy we have won, look back, we've never won. We never went out and just won a trophy 3-0. And when that was easy, that was the nice 90 minutes that we could just enjoy in the sunshine. In May, no, Liverpool had to put you through the fucking mire. They had to put you. If Liverpool are going to win this league, it's going to be 5 minutes to go. Wolves are home with Daniel Sturridge coming off the bench. That's how it's going to work. Liverpool are going to win this league. I am telling you right now.
How would you even say that? It's going to freaking happen.
Because this is Liverpool. Look at the history of Liverpool Football Club. Look back. Yeah, the first proper trophy, I was 9, 10. The first proper trophy run that we had was the treble season. We played Birmingham, a championship side at the time, in the League Cup final. We beat them on penalties, right? 1-1. The FA Cup game, we played the best Arsenal side probably ever in 2001, 2002, getting into that invincible season. We were dreadful all game. 2 great Michael Owen goals won us the game. We played Alaves, who were one of the worst sides in Spain. We beat them 5-4 because of a golden goal. The golden goal rule, that's what I'm talking about. That hasn't been going for 20 years.
Yeah, right? that's multi-generational.
You know what I'm saying? We beat them on an own goal of the golden goal to win 5-4. Right? This is not, then of course there's Istanbul and there's the FA Cup final. We had that nice League Cup win against United, but the FA Cup final and Gerrard scoring from 200 yards out to equalise. Liverpool do not do things the easy way. So if Liverpool, if us fans expected that this is going to be a nice procession to the league title and everyone's going to be giving us guards of honour because we won the league in the middle of April, they're absolutely ludicrous. Ludicrous. We are up against one of the best sides ever assembled. Whether we like this or not, they are one of the best sides ever assembled. We're going to tell our children about this side, the City side, and we're going to say there was a team one year son that got 100 points because they won more than 33 games. That's basically on average. That's only 99 points. That's what we're talking about of a level of a squad. And Liverpool are challenging them. And after all Liverpool have been through with Kiev and what happened, that can destroy a team. That can destroy people. What happened in Kiev. And this team just mulled together and went, no, you know what? Actually, we looked around here and we can, we got a feeling we can do something. A couple of shrewd signings like the Alisson signing and things. And, I really think we can go there this weekend and put a marker down against them. I remember we went there, and you guys will probably remember under Brendan Rodgers, and we won 3-0. We scored 2 pens. Gerrard missed a pen for the hat-trick, and we should have been 10-0. It was that one-sided. And
I remember.
Felt like that was when it felt like to me we could win the league. You know what I mean? That's when I had the first thing of, actually, you know what? This is like this is a good side. Really good side. When you go to the United and you put your marker down and go, actually, no, where are you? You know what I mean? And I think this weekend we can really do it. I know I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I'm just I'm so passionate about this game because I know how big this game can be for our season if you win there.
You asked the great question, which you said yes or no. And the truth of it is you asked us whether we would take a draw after full times come Sunday. And I think Man City fans would dread a draw at full time.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what tells you what's at stake on Sunday is do we have the maturity and the, cool-headedness and the, um, just this desire to get what we need to get when we need to get it, and I think we do. I have this confidence against this manager. I'm sorry, with this manager, that we have this sort of maturity, this cold bloodedness to get these crucial outcomes. And as you said, and even I felt it myself, and then I have to caution myself. We're not going to win every game.
No,
You know,
no.
you mean you're going to have your Leicesters and your West Hams and your results that you wish didn't happen, didn't expect. That's just normal. But I think what you said is really important, which is we didn't lose those games, did we?
No.
And I think that if we maintain that bend but don't break attitude, and we manage to win some games ugly as we have this season, we get our bit of luck here and there, and we put in our, as you said, maybe our Milner tackle on Pogba in the first 20 minutes on come the Sunday. Maybe those are the moments that are just as important as those fabulous goals and other things that make match of the day.
Sim, I honestly think a draw it'll destroy them. And I'm telling you, because I tell you right now, mate, if you offered them a draw, City, to go to United right now, would you take a draw? They all go, yeah. They all say yes, because it's their derby and they've got to go there. And the way they're playing, they'll take the draw. I think I'm not saying destroy them, but I think it'll really affect them, especially if it's late. If we
Wonderfully if it's late.
If
in
we score
Fergie
in the
time.
85th, 86th minute, and it's Origi, Sturridge, Shaqiri, someone you wouldn't really expect to grab a goal, and he grabs a goal late on. You remember these kind of moments, I've said it before on previous podcasts, when you're coming into title races and you look back at seasons, we all look back at seasons familiar, and we pick out games and you go, that's a key moment. For me, it all starts with Sturridge at Chelsea. If we win this league, the Sturridge goal at Chelsea and the Debrai Origi, they're the two main ones that stand out. Tim, I honestly think, mate, I know you're saying no, a draw is not a bad result,
Oh no, like I say, I mean, I wouldn't be like, God damn it was a draw, but I would not be like satisfied with the draw, I guess. I would not be like, oh, that was good. I would just say that wasn't bad. Because I feel like we still, I mean, we both do, and I think if we learned anything over the last 2 months is, on paper, it's hard to tell who's going to lose points on which game. I mean, if we looked ahead to the schedule, maybe like 3 months ago, and we looked at the games, we would not think, if I told you, hey, City is going to lose 2 of these games, you would not go and pick Crystal Palace and Newcastle game. You might go and pick, the Chelsea game or, something like that. So I think if you learned anything, there's no way to know where the points are going to be lost. I just feel like, with the games we have ahead, I would like to keep that 3-point lead because, like you're saying, we do not lose easily. So a 3-point lead gives us basically a 1-game advantage going into these last games. And that could be precious. With this goal difference kind of being out of whack now and looks like it's kind of gone again, I would rather keep that 3 points. And yeah, by all means, if the game ends in 0-0, 1-1, whatever, I'm not going to be oh, there goes the league title. But I would feel a lot more comfortable. Things would be a lot less tense for me and for my heart if we kept up.
I listen. Yeah, speaking of our rivals, City especially, I think the League Cup final this weekend can throw a big spanner in the works. The reason I say that is that they play it on Sunday night. Say they win. Hopefully they have a tough game. At least please Chelsea show up and give them a fucking game at least. Don't just do what happened last week. But I mean, give them a run around. Give them a, really tough game. Say they win the game. They wake up Monday morning, then they got to go. By the way, on 48 hours, you got to go and play West Ham at home. Now, I'm not saying that West Ham at home is going to give them a really tough game, but this is a side, of course, we just said, I've lost to Palace, Newcastle, Leicester. So West Ham at home and 48 hours on the back of a cup final, I think will be really tough to play.
Yeah, I agree. And, Pep Guardiola is obviously a great manager, but there's something temperamental about him. And and his team. And when they go on a good run, they seem to go on a good run on an almost extreme level. And when they go on a bad run, it seems like that's also on an extreme level where they can rack up, bad results, in a row. So I think you're right. I think if they suffer a real disappointment in the League Cup final, I can see that having a hangover, especially against a physical team like West Ham, who will certainly be up for it, notwithstanding their manager's apparent favoritism towards Man City and the title race.
Yeah, well, before we wrap it up, I just want to touch on our other rivals. Spurs, we've got to give them the respect they deserve. I thought with the injuries that they've had in the last few weeks, with Ali going out for a while and Kane, and I was like, well, that's them done. But they've ground out results like no one's business. Heung-min Son's probably one of the form players in the league this season. But Sim, I'll come to yourself, mate. The next three fixtures are Burnley away, Chelsea away, and then the old derby against Arsenal, the North London derby. I think it's fair to say we'll find out next week if they're going to be in this title race or not come the business end.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I thought they would be out of this a couple of weeks ago. I mean, when they lost Kane and stuff in that injury, I thought it was pretty much a done deal. When Son and Kane were out, Son was at the Asian Cup and stuff like that, I thought they would have fallen off. So, I mean, hey, kudos to them to be able to, like, still hang in there. I still feel like even if they got, like, 9 points out of those 3 games you mentioned, I just do not feel like they will be able to, because they're still coming to Anfield and they're still going away to City.
Yeah.
So I just don't think they will, even if they get, like I say, 9 out of those 3 games, I just don't think they're in this title run. They can keep up and close a 5-point gap with both teams. If it was just one team, you can say, like, oh, they'll go through a slump. But you're chasing 2 teams from 5 points behind, and that kind of makes it tricky. But, I mean, I think it's pretty impressive that they are still hanging in there with all the injuries they have had. And that speaks to a lot of, like Pochettino does over there. I mean, that's definitely a job well done. But having said that, I don't see them coming out with 9 points out of those 3 games anyway. Especially, we'll see what happens with Chelsea. They're like a dilemma. But I can see it. I mean, Tottenham is a weird team because I can see even Burnley. That's a tough place to play, and Burnley just goes out there to kill people. It feels like, not to play football, especially when they're home. So I can see that being like a tough physical game where they lose points even this weekend.
Yeah, Debrai, I'll come to you. Then fixtures again with Burnley away, Chelsea away, then Arsenal at home, all in the space of 7 days. So, tough.
I think those are the latter two particularly tough fixtures. Burnley, you never know what you're going to get. The bottom line is, I think Tim has said it well, is I think that they're playing not for the title. I think they're playing for the role of spoiler for the title. And I think, if they get a result against us, they get a result against City, they could damage one or the other's prospects. But I don't think they're going to do themselves a world of good, because I think they're going to drop points along the way. And so I think they're fighting for either being second bridesmaid or third bridesmaid as their normal process.
Yeah, they're going to Spurs it again, as they say. But right, let me get your score predictions off you, Debrai. I come to you first, fella. Go ahead.
For Sunday, I predict Liverpool 2-1.
Don't say that. Just don't let us go 2-0 up, because I feel sick. Let us come back from 1-0 back. But I mean, because I don't need that nerve right now in my life. But
I'm almost nervous right now just articulating that prediction.
Go ahead, Tim. Hit me with it.
I go with 3-1 Liverpool win.
Thanks, fella. I'm going to go with 1-0 Divock Origi, 90 plus 6. I'm joking.
It's bound to happen again sometime. Yeah.
It's going to happen again. No, listen, I'm going to go 1-0. I think we just score late, and I think the scenes that you'll see when we score late, they'll know how big the goal is. And so I'll go 1-0. I think it's going to be really tight. You know, I think it all depends as well on the Rashford-Lingard situation, guys. If they start, it could be a completely different game. If it is Lukaku up front on his own with like maybe Sanchez and Rashford, and I think we could win the game comfortable. But any other business, guys, before we close up shop?
No, let's just get the 3 points, man. Don't start that draw crap. Let's get the 3 points and move on.
I love this Turkish mentality. Come on, fellas. Win every game. Love your work. Right, lads?
Yeah. All right. Thank you. All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.